I let the chickens out at the same time every morning, 7 a.m., even though they wake with the sun somewhat earlier on July days like today. They hear me coming, and I can hear their chatter grow more urgent as I open the back door and crunch across the gravel towards their coop. I see one prehistoric eye peering at me through the small window on the side of their henhouse as I go to slide back their door. Then all four squat, feathered bodies tumble through the gap, skidding down the ramp and past my feet towards where their food is waiting. I pause for a minute to admire their impressive bustles that point in the air while their hungry little beaks tap, tap, tap at the dull grey pellets they eat for breakfast. Most mornings I rush back to bed for another hour's sleep, but the still air of this balmy morning is worth lingering in. The sun glints through the morning dew that covers the ground at my feet, and the tall grass in the field beyond the vegetable patch bows its soft pink seed heads gently to greet the day. House martins dance wordlessly overhead, their black bodies, white bellies, forked tails flitting through the sky. All is quiet but for the soft buzz of bumblebees searching the Persicaria's spiked flowers for their nectar, and the sound of the chickens whose attention has shifted from the feeder to scratching at the ground in search of tiny bugs. I open the greenhouse door to allow the moisture trapped inside to escape. The tendrils of cucumber plants and a lone bitter melon, planted too late but with optimism, reach towards me and curl in the hope of finding something steady to hold on to. Their jagged-edged leaves and yellow flowers press themselves against the steamed-up windows like sweaty palms. Turning around, I smell the sugary scent of jasmine spiraling towards me from the vines that clamber up and over the wooden fence. As I devour its fragrance and the sight of its star-shaped flowers, I spot something familiar entangled amongst the chaotic midsummer growth spilling out from the nearby bed. Bright green, heart-shaped leaves coming off a stem wound tightly around whatever it can grab hold of, cling onto and strangle as it scrambles upwards in search of the sun. This particular specimen has been left to grow for long enough that there are buds appearing, and the topmost has broken into a white, trumpet-shaped bloom. On seeing it, I start to panic. There is no doubt. Whether through negligence or distraction or incompetence, bindweed has been rampaging through the garden on my watch. So much so that it's had time to settle in and flower. I first met bindweed as a child when it was climbing its way up the chain-link fences around my school playground. I'd slowly pressed the plump flower buds until they relented with a satisfying pop. I didn't know then that those blousy blooms would one day be the mark of my nemesis, and that just the sight of them would fill me with panic. I think every grower and gardener has one plant that torments them. One with a rampant growth habit or that sows its seeds a touch too prolifically or monopolizes the water, earth or sun so that the plants they are trying to grow have to compete for what they need to thrive. A plant that follows them from garden to garden, reminding them that no matter how they try, there is much in the garden beyond their control. Bindweed, with her anti-clockwise, twirling, suffocating ways and her roots that burrow as deep as 3 meters below the ground but snap easily under a too heavy hand, is my ever-present enemy. I once spent a spring trying to excavate those brittle white roots from the first piece of land I'd been given permission to steward, a small plot at the bottom of a vicarage garden in Hackney. One side of the site was neat and organised with 5 vegetable beds where salad leaves had been grown in rotation for a number of seasons already. The other side, though, had been left to grow with abandon and was shoulder-high with nettles and brambles. I devoted those winter months to hacking back the thorny, stinging tangle and finding the raspberry canes, gooseberry bushes, and a pond hiding beneath. Yet it wouldn't be until the days started to warm that the bindweed made itself known, crawling under and across the path that kept the rowdy side separate from the tidy side, before emerging above ground to smother the perennial herbs and bother the overwintered chard. It was a futile task, but I was driven by the determination of a new grower who foolishly believed she could be more tenacious than this pernicious wanderer. Tenacity and idealism marked my first few seasons of growing food. Career changers like me can be like that, evangelical and occasionally unrealistic about their new direction, because they've committed themselves to a path that rescued them from a work life that made them miserable. That's how I felt when I found my way to the work of growing plants. I wasn't looking for it, but it found me. I'd like to believe that it would have found me some other way if I hadn't walked down that New York street on that one sunny Saturday in June. I was working as a documentary producer when I stumbled upon Brooklyn Grange and fell for what was happening there. I found myself on a rooftop farm at a time when I was falling out of love with the work I was doing. The urge to grow food coaxed me back to London where, one foot in my old career for steadiness, I volunteered and trained and learned and worked my way into any job that called for me to be outside and in the presence of plants and their allies.